everyone, and welcome back to another episode of TechRise, and welcome to season 4. We're so excited for this week to be focused on future of work, and we have some incredible founders here joining us today. For those of you unfamiliar with TechRise, we host these competitions every week, and founders get a chance to win $25,000 to $50,000 to go build their dreams. We have judges that ask some questions after the founders pitch, and then they go off and they have the unenviable task of having to decide who wins, but it's always a great experience. And today we actually have a very special guest. We have Eric Morset joining us. He is from, he's the Undersecretary at the U.S. Department of Commerce for Minority Business Development. And he runs the program that is called the Capital Readiness Program that allowed TechRise to have funding to support our operations for the next several years. So we're so honored that he's joining us physically in our offices, although in a different space right this minute. So Eric, I don't know if you want to say a couple of words while you're here.
Thank you so much, Desiree, and so thank you so much to the TechRise pitch competition for creating this opportunity available to so many amazing folks. And thank you for your partnership and being part of the MBDA family. I want to flag this for those on the line that MBDA is so proud to have P33 a part of our network of 43 grantees who are helping folks access $10 billion of capital through the State Small Business Credit Initiative provided by the Biden-Harris administration. And particularly for the state of Illinois, $354 million to deploy their dreams and hopes through that capital access opportunity. I'm excited for you. I'm excited for this team. I'm excited for what's about to happen for those who are pitching themselves and their ideas. The opportunities that exist through this network, but through your work is really outstanding. And MBDA is just so proud to be a part of that. I'm excited for what hopefully some of these folks who are laying their ideas out there are able to possibly receive from this administration. But I'm excited about what we can do as a collective. I'm excited about MBDA's responsibility to help minority business entrepreneurs achieve wealth in our country, and your focus and commitment towards that end as well. So I'm just excited about what we're all about to hear and see. And I look forward to continuing a longstanding relationship with P33, your network of partners, but more importantly, seeing and hearing these great ideas come to fruition. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you for coming and for being here with your team. And we're very honored to be one of the 42 recipients. I think we're one of the smallest organizations to have received the funding. And so I think it's a real testament to the work our team and our collaborators. So Get Cities and Verizon and World Business Chicago and Chicago Blend and 1871, Matter, MHub. Everyone contributes to the performance of this effort. And as a reminder, TechRise founders over the last 2.5 years have gone on to raise over $110 million in follow-on funding, which is about 10x what we did before COVID. So it truly is high impact. And I do want to remind the audience that we have this incredible funding from federal government through this MBDA Capital Readiness Program, but we still every single year go out and raise the prize money that you're going to see we deliver today. So, keep supporting us in all ways, audience. All right, Eric, thank you so much. I'll see you next week.
Thank you.
All right, and with that, we're going to get into welcoming our judges onto the stage. So judges, when I say your name, feel free to pop on and wave hello. First, we're going to start with Jim Tanzillo. He is founding board member of Venture Next. He's a Michigan-based VC whose mission is to empower tenacious founders with the capital, connections, and guidance to grow and scale. He has spent the last 10 plus years in the entrepreneurial world in both Chicago and Michigan, and has been an investor for the past 8 years. He's made over 100 investments, wow, into 55 plus startups, and has served in 16 startup boards. He's one of the co-founders of Venture Next and one of the largest communities of venture capitalists in the US. So Jim, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
All right, and next we have Savannah Green. She's a principal at Workday Ventures. Savannah joined Workday in 2020 as principal on the investment team. And prior to that, she held roles in investing at Attention Capital, a New York-based firm that invests in media and technology, as well as Plexo Capital, a GV spinout that invests in women and minority-led business startups and seed stage VCs. She formerly worked at Evercore Partners in Menlo Park on the tech investment banking team, where she assessed and analyzed M&A and growth opportunities, and before that on the shareholder activism team in New York. She holds a master's of business administration from Harvard and a bachelor's degree from Stanford. So highly educated. Thank you for being here, Savannah. All right, and then last but not least, we have Justin Cohen, who is founder and managing partner of Bionic Labs. Justin is a startup veteran with 20 years of experience operating, investing, and advising. He's built marketing and product functions for some of the fastest growing companies in the country and one of the earliest employees at each, driving over $1 billion in exits. He's now building bionic collabs, I should say, sorry, fast-tracking startups from seed to Series A through growth investments. So Justin, thanks so much for being here and great to see you again. All right, and so now it's kind of on with the competition. We're all gonna go video off and we're gonna welcome Audrey Hutnick with Smallwave Consulting on as our first guest. We can see your screen, but we can't see you yet.
All right. And all right. Ready to go?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
we're ready.
All right. Imagine that you're sitting on the edge of your bed, you have a pregnancy test in hand, and you just waited those 3 incredibly long minutes. You flip over the test and you find out that you're pregnant. Now you might be excited, a bit shocked, and soon those initial feelings start to dissipate a bit. But for small business owners, there's oftentimes another wave of emotions, and that's centered around what am I going to do with my business as I begin to grow my family? And this is an issue because the United States is one of just 6 countries in this world that does not offer any sort of national paid family leave program. And if you're a business with less than 50 employees, the acts like FMLA don't apply. If you have a team of less than 2 to 3, you're oftentimes ineligible for any sort of short-term disability policy. And if you're a non-birthing parent, there really is no coverage available for you and your small business. This is what contributes to 1 in 4 women in the US being forced to go back to work within 2 weeks of giving birth. Now that's less time than some people's annual vacation. And 30% of women leave the workforce when they have a child, which is partially due to a lack of paid leave. So this is why we're here today, standing for paid parental leave for small business owners and entrepreneurs, whether you're the birthing parent or not. And much like our namesake, we're all about creating the small waves or little ripples when it comes for advocating for paid parental leave for all. And we believe that parental leave should be a necessity and not a luxury. And that's why our offerings are meant to meet a business where they're at. So our first offering is a digital download. It's a parental leave planning guide, much like a wedding planning guide, and a revenue budget calculator to help our clients create that revenue goalpost that they need to create any sort of paid parental leave plan. Our second offering is a business assessment and customized leave plan centered around one-on-one consulting. And our third offering is all about community. So focus on postpartum support and transitioning back to business. Now, there's currently only 13 states and Washington, D.C. that have any sort of statewide paid family leave program. So with 14 million US small businesses owned by women, and then about 4.7 million owned by moms, that leaves about 3.4 million businesses owned by moms in states without any sort of paid family medical leave program. So what's being done about this? If you look in the top left-hand corner, you can see there's a book called The Expecting Entrepreneur, and that touches on the topics, as well as there are some consultancies like The Park, but they're really focused on states with an existing paid family medical leave program, and oftentimes work with business owner or work with their clients to advocate for themselves with their employers. So that's why we're getting to work. We're currently undergoing rebranding, working with initial clients, collecting survey data. And if we were to win the funds today, we would apply that to a digital marketing campaign and partnering with professionals to invest in budgeting tools. So why us? My name is Audrey Hutnick, and I'm the founder of Smallwave Consulting. And after about 15 years in the marketing industry, I co-founded my first small business, which was a marketing agency. And very early on, another business owner approached us, almost kind of begging us for support. She was 7 months pregnant and really didn't know what to do with her business as she was about to welcome her first baby. And the thing is, she wasn't alone. And that's why we sent out an initial survey to those that have taken a parental leave from their small business in the past. And this is what we've heard. As a highly productive individual, I assumed I would be good at multitasking as a new parent. I just wish I had been prepared for how difficult it would be to work on my business while also taking care of my child. And that's why we're here today, advocating for small businesses and fighting for paid parental leave for all. Thank you.
So sorry, I got paused for some reason, couldn't get out, but great job, Audrey. Okay, judges, we're gonna welcome you onto the stage. And then Jim, could you kick off the questions?
Sure. Great job with your pitch, Audrey. What kind of level of traction have you gotten so far? You mentioned 3 different offerings, so could you talk a little bit about your traction in each one of those 3 offerings?
Yeah, absolutely. So initially, in my first business, which was a marketing agency, and this very organically happened, we are about 10% of our revenue was dedicated towards supporting small business owners. So that was kind of that one-on-one consulting and kind of subbing for their businesses. Since then, I've been working with 2 to 3 initial clients, kind of on that one-on-one consulting, as well as I have a cohort next week that will be filling out the initial parental leave planning guide, and working with the initial budgeting tools, as well as building up partnerships. So actively talking with other businesses for that final phase of offerings.
Savannah.
Great. Yeah. Thank you so much. So I know you talked a little bit about kind of your plan around digital marketing, but can you say a little bit more around the kind of go-to-market and how you kind of find and target these small business owners?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So ultimately, the 2 market strategies, they're divided into 2. So the first one is getting in front of businesses when they're just starting to really get off the ground. And so that's kind of getting in front of, working with the WBDC, SBA, SCORE, kind of in that initial phase of starting your business. And then the second phase of kind of our marketing strategy is focused on those that are starting to get into the algorithms online, such as, they may have just found out that they're pregnant or starting the adoption process. And that's when they're starting to kind of be seeing some of these relevant things. So that would be where paid ads and kind of working with influencers would fall into that category.
Dustin.
Yes, thanks, Audrey. You mentioned kind of like a budgeting sheet as part of the offering. Are you looking at this to become some sort of like Nest-esque where you have people putting aside money and they're creating accounts and it's something that kind of builds and you'll build the technology behind that? Or are you strictly focused on the consulting, setting up the process? Like how do you think about that scaling?
Yeah, so I'm right now focused on kind of the setting, just even being that initial form of support, since right now there's really nothing. But I believe that anything along the prenatal, postpartum journey, being a new parent involves a community. So the whole idea is teaming up, especially with financial planners, those that can really kind of take the initial budgeting tools and then work from that with our clients. And then we would set up referral partnerships from there.
We have time for another question.
Thank you.
How are you making money with this platform?
Yes. So the first offering, so that digital download, that's at a $39 download price. So with just kind of millions of businesses that this could touch, the idea is to scale that. The second offering is one-on-one consulting. So it's a $300 kind of package deal, and then hourly work from there. And then the third offering is kind of those referral partnerships. And then we really plan to build out collaborations and like kind of cohorts from there.
Well, great job, Audrey. Thank you so much. Thank you, judges, for the great questions. And next, we're going to introduce Discreetly and Vinay. Tharayil, I'm sorry.
All right. Perfect. Are you guys able to see me?
We can, but Justin, I'm going to ask you to go off video. Thanks.
Great.
All right, we're good.
Awesome. All right, ready to go. Hello, everyone. My name is Vinay, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Discreetly, which is a digital platform to scale and transform the engagement between pharma and physicians to improve patient outcomes. Before I begin, I want you to picture a patient who was recently diagnosed with a terminal illness like ALS. After visiting an ALS specialist in New York, he was prescribed the standard medications that are normally prescribed and was also told that he would never get off of the respirator and to start making end-of-life preparations. However, the patient's son happened to have previously worked at one of the nation's top hospitals and was able to get his father an appointment with a national key opinion leader in ALS. During this appointment, the patient was prescribed a new medication for ALS that this top specialist happened to be aware of, and as a result, the patient is now breathing on his own and living with an improved quality of life. Now, what if I was to tell you that this wasn't just a hypothetical patient, but that this was in fact the case for the father of my co-founder, Jibu? But what about the patients who aren't as lucky or connected? We feel that every physician should have access to the same information and resources as the top specialists typically do to learn about all of the newest medications and provide the same high level of care like these top institutions. And that is why we created Discreetly. So over the past decade, pharma access to healthcare providers has been steadily decreasing by nearly 50%. And this is problematic because most physicians learn about new medicines via their drug reps and pharma medical experts. Studies have shown that this decreased access can lead to a delay in prescribing the best medications for patients. And when we put that into perspective, if there is a 2 to 4 week delay in prescribing the right medication for a cancer patient, for example, it can lead to an increase in mortality by 13%. So we can clearly see that this decreased engagement has a huge impact on patient lives as well. However, as a result of the pandemic, there's been a huge demand for clinical data on new medications by physicians, and it has presented an opportunity for pharma companies to leverage their medical experts to engage and educate their physicians and answer any questions they may have around their drugs. The challenge, however, is that less than 30% of physicians are currently engaging with these medical experts, and that's largely due to a lack of awareness to the role. The challenge that pharma companies are facing, however, is with scaling these medical expert services. Simply put, these medical experts are very expensive, and they cost on average around $250,000 per expert, which means that the medical expert teams are typically smaller in comparison to their sales counterparts. And they're also in short supply in today's market. And also, physicians are having a hard time reaching them, again, due to a lack of awareness to this role or because of the size of the medical expert team itself. So with the healthcare provider focus in mind, Discreetly was created as a solution to address this unmet need. With Discreetly, doctors will have a one-stop shop to learn about new medicines, receive relevant information, and have on-demand access to pharma medical experts to get their questions answered and prescribe a medication faster. With Discreetly, our goal is to change the current status quo as to how pharma engages with healthcare providers and put the physician in the captain's chair. Discreetly solves this problem by creating a two-sided platform where on one side, pharma companies upload the newest clinical information available around their products and disease states, as well as make their medical experts available for virtual engagement. On the other side, physicians will sign up and have free access to the platform to receive relevant information and have the medical experts at their fingertips to provide a concierge-like experience for their clinical data needs. When looking at the market size for Discreetly, we based our analysis on a projected lifetime value of $1.25 million per pharma customer, and so we project our TAM to be approximately $5 billion. And the value that Discreetly provides is that for the cost of one MSL, we would increase an entire team's operational efficiency by 3 to 4-fold. In terms of our competitive analysis, none of our competitors have the on-demand medical expert access, as well as the ability to assess custom metrics around a core medical strategy for a product. We are currently raising a $3.5 million round of investment, and a majority of the funds will go towards additional product development and to building out our team as well. Our founding team has a robust amount of industry knowledge and experience with over 30 years.
Oh, sorry. You can cover this in the Q&A though. So
sure.
I'm going to welcome the judges on so we don't go over on time. Savannah, could you kick us off on questions?
Sure. Well, I guess I did want to hear kind of where he was going with that. So would love to hear about kind of your background and why your experience is relevant.
Sure. I've been working as a pharma medical expert for the last decade at various different companies, and then most recently was leading global strategy for a medical expert team at a large pharmaceutical company. So very familiar with the problems that they're facing and the need for a solution like this in the industry.
Yeah, that's a quick follow-up if you have one, or we can go.
No, yeah, I'm happy to ask another question. I guess for any kind of two-sided marketplace, kind of having the network effects is really important. So would just love to hear how you kind of plan on building out both sides of the equation.
Yeah, so as far as from the pharma side is concerned, we're going to be leading on our internal networks between our team. We have a ton of pharma companies that we can reach out to. And specifically, we're going to be focusing on some of the small to mid-sized pharma companies that are either about to launch a product or have recently launched a product where there's still a lot of activity around the product launch itself. And as far as the healthcare provider side is concerned, we're working on building partnerships with different healthcare institutions, particularly those hospitals in the community space where they tend to get ignored by pharma or that don't have as much exposure to pharma companies. And so we're looking to have those physicians onboarded into the platform by creating partnerships with the hospital institutions that they're partnered with or that they are licensed with. So,
Question.
Great to meet, and thanks for the presentation. I have a father that's suffering from Parkinson's,
Yeah.
so I understand the medical conditions and issues. I think I had kind of a two-part question. One, uh, going through that, obviously, there's just a plethora of drugs that are tried, and I think we probably have too many drugs in America that are pushed, and why there's issues with pharma reps talking to doctors and whatnot. So, like,
Yeah.
how do you keep the quality control in place so that we just don't create another ecosystem, echo chamber that just pushes more drugs and more drugs and more drugs?
No, that's a great question. And so one of the main things of why we're focusing this platform on the pharma medical experts versus the sales reps is that there's a lot of guardrails around how they can engage and what kind of information that they share with physicians. They are required by law to be fair and unbalanced when they share the data around the products. And also the engagement has to be reactive, meaning that the physician has to reach out to the medical expert for any specific questions that they have. And when that happens, the medical expert is now able to share more high level quality of information, being focused on the science and really focusing on that peer-to-peer engagement. Apart from that, there is no banner ads or any of that kind of promotional activity that are on the platform, again, because of the regulations that surround these medical experts. So it's strictly about sharing the science that companies have readily available, and it's just making it easy for a physician to request that information when they need it and centralizing that whole
I'm gonna get Jim's
process.
question in real quick before we run out of time. Sorry, Jim, go ahead.
Sure.
Thanks, Desiree. So you mentioned that there's a bottleneck in that these pharma companies have too few experts, and this is essentially trying to get all the experts out to the community. What is it going to take for you to get these already stretched resources to engage with this platform versus what they're doing currently?
15 seconds to answer.
So right now, a lot of there's been a huge shift towards a digital environment, and the problem with that digital environment, there is very limited in the capabilities of the platforms that they're using, and we feel that our platform will make it easier for these physicians and medical experts to engage by centralizing everybody in one location.
I'm so sorry to cut you off, but okay, great questions and great job. Thanks so much, Vinay. All right, next we have Bridget Lohrius with SANDWINA joining us. All right, and Justin, I'm going to ask you one more time. Sorry.
Thanks, Desiree. Can you see this?
We can. We're ready when you are.
So the future of work will rely on women. Boomers are retiring and more women are entering, but working women are growing weary. Why? Well, honestly, there are a lot of reasons, but one of the primary reasons is the gender gap. Women make 80 cents to a man's dollar, and it's not budging. We've seen little to no progress in 3 decades. And for every 100 men promoted into management, 54 Black women are promoted. Women represent only 40% of manager roles, and it shrinks from there. Millions of women are swinging from the broken rung of the ladder. But here's what you might not know. $1.6 trillion is the cost per year for women. And the gap also costs Black women $1 million across the course of their career. And it costs $7 trillion to the global economy each year. So why? Why does this stubborn gap remain? It's good old-fashioned bias and discrimination. The system wasn't built for us, so we have to build our own. And SANDWINA is a human-first, tech-enabled platform that makes career coaching more affordable and closes the gap. And here's how it works. You take a quiz, you pick a coach, you pick the one that you want to work with, and you get to work. Learning, growing, earning, and climbing, closing the gap. Our business model is subscription-based, so clients pay a monthly fee, coaches take a cut, and SANDWINA takes a cut. The supply side is super easy. There are more than 145 coaches in the US. Most of them just want to coach and transform lives. They do not want to build sales funnels to acquire new customers. And the SANDWINA platform brings the clients to them. We market them, helping them make more money and do what they love. We have a wait list to join. On the demand side, our growth has really come through word of mouth, events, and organic social. Hundreds of women who have enjoyed the benefits of coaching, like Lisa, twice laid off, now thriving in a tech startup, making 3 times what she was making. Our clients are getting promotions, raises, new jobs every single day. We're closing the gap and we're making money while we do it. So this is a $20 billion opportunity. There are 75 million women in the workforce now, today. 10 million of those we believe are our ideal clients. And most of our clients are hyper-focused on B2B. Most are pretty expensive, frankly, and most are not unapologetically focused on women and closing the gap. And here are a few of our milestones, our traction. Net volume up 96%, new customers up 91%, average MRR per user is $300 per month, and our subscriber lifetime value is over $2,000. So given all of that traction and what we've seen, here are some projections. We're shooting for 400K in 2024 and reaching for 4.2 million in 2026, by 2026. So you really have the opportunity here to unlock significant growth for SANDWINA with this investment. We know exactly where to put this money to acquire new customers and grow fast. A no-code app, influencers, advertising, and community with a focus on Instagram and LinkedIn. So why me? I've been coaching C-suite executives for more than 20 years, leaders from Walmart, McDonald's, CVS, and more, including 5 of Fortune's most powerful women. I contributed to their success because coaching unlocks confidence, power, and influence. And man, I love hating this problem. I will not give up on closing the gap because I have 2 daughters and 76 million women to fight for. And why now? Well, honestly, DEI is dying inside of corporate America. The Supreme Court's decision to kill affirmative action will have a lasting effect. So,
Bridget, I have to stop you. Okay, but let's go and get the judges on here if we can. And Justin, I'm going to have you kick us off with the first question. Bridget, is it possible to lower your camera a little bit? Because we can't see your face.
Oh, yeah, of course. Thanks, Desiree.
Of course. All right,
Awesome.
Justin, go ahead.
Great presentation. I am interested. So we have the mentor platform and coaching platform. Are you then helping to connect them to roles, or does it stop at the coaching side?
Love this question. So it is not, we are not a recruiting or placement firm, to be clear. Part of our coaching experience, however, is serving our clients with ideas, suggestions for how to search for roles, companies that align with their values and what they're looking to do.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And Jim, sorry.
Great presentation, Bridget. You mentioned that you're going mostly through LinkedIn, Instagram. What kind of experimentation have you done on the go-to-market side? You mentioned that a lot of folks have come via word of mouth or organic. Have you done any experiments on the digital side, and what have those shown you?
Yeah, so thanks, Jim, for that question. We have, and we've had, this is why we're so confident about investing this money, should we win, into influencer marketing. We've tested and played with that a little bit and saw tremendous success with that. So as we all know, it's more reliable and we trust it more when we hear it from someone we know and respect and follow. So that's been one really successful test area, is with influencer marketing on Instagram. On LinkedIn, we are actually going to try a similar approach. You know, influencer marketing isn't necessarily a thing on LinkedIn, but we believe that we can tap into those top voices, those top community voices, and really try to apply the same kind of strategy that we're using on Instagram on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. Thank you so much. I'm curious how you think about kind of ensuring the quality of the coaches and of the sessions, and also kind of making sure that there's a range of industries and life stages that they're able to kind of, how do you think about the content of the coaching itself?
Yeah, absolutely. So all of our coaches are accredited by a International Coaching Federation approved program. So we don't, that's our threshold for quality. There's also a very thorough vetting and onboarding process to ensure that all of these coaches that come onto the SANDWINA platform are, true to our brand, living our values, and delivering the kind of experience that we expect.
Do you have time for another question? And if not, then Bridget, I can let you finish what you were going to say in your pitch that I had to
Oh,
cut
I
off.
know. I knew I was cutting it close, Desiree. No worries. I really just, I'm so grateful to be here and really appreciate the time and invite all of us here to do more to close that gap and help women make what they deserve.
Yeah, I think we're still waiting for Equal Pay Day for our Latina and Indigenous people.
Sure are.
And this won't be till October or November, I believe.
That's right.
Thank you so much.
52 cents a Latina makes to a man's dollar. So yes, much work to be done.
Thank you so much. Thank you, judges. And next, we're going to invite Jill Miller with Lunum onto the stage. Jill.
All righty. Hi. How are you, Desiree?
I am great. How about you?
Great. I'm good. It's Friday.
It
Okay.
is.
Here
Okay, we can see everything. We're good.
You're good to go? Okay. Perfect. People practices in organizations either create or destroy value for a business. If you're a big company, the time for performative statements and reporting on activities about doing good without a plan for doing better is over. New EU sustainability regulations are coming into effect, and disclosing if people practices have a financial impact on a business just went from a nice to have to a must have. This is a completely new $6 billion market opportunity that will impact thousands of US companies, and this pressure extends to the supply chain for the first time. Corporations and their suppliers must now properly measure, manage, and improve the impact of their actions related to workers and communities. But there is almost no data, no benchmarks, and very few people have an understanding of what good looks like until now. Lunam's solution is a people impact and compliance reporting platform helping corporations move beyond performative statements and align suppliers to customer values. And as a bonus, it is a way for brands to tell the story of their value chain's impact in a language that everyone can understand: dollars. Meet Brightstar. It's kind of like LEED certification for commercial buildings, but we look at the people inside those buildings. Our data helps companies comply with regulations while turning intent to action, so we all get better together. The Lunam app underpins everything we do and has Russell 1000 impact data on demand. We translate employment and community impacts into monetary terms by aggregating workforce data, generating and delivering data insights, and creating impact reporting like never before. The method we use is called impact accounting, and it was developed at Harvard Business School to help increase transparency for investors and guide regulatory recommendations. Lunam has adapted it to help corporations convert right actions into revenue and better align with financial markets. It's a massive market. This illustrates the US market potential for Lunam. It's about $6 billion with just our initial offering. To give you some perspective, General Mills has about 9,000 global suppliers and Walmart upwards of 100K. Let's look at a real use case, however. We validated that this problem of impact alignment is a costly emerging issue for both corporates and their suppliers. To address the pain point, we've developed a multi-sided market around achieving change. Our go-to-market beachhead will generate over 1 million ARR in 2024. And as we scale with them over the next 18 months, there is a 7 million ARR opportunity with no additional customer acquisition cost. Lunam is the only data company that transcends vanity metrics and moves toward alignment, value creation, and actionable business results to close gaps. This is a high margin, highly sticky recurring revenue business. Again, we'll generate over 1 million ARR this year, and we're 3/4 of the way there today. We've just kicked off pilots with a biotech and a fintech and deepened talks with many other strategics who want to use our data. Hi, I'm Jill Miller, the founder of Lunam. After 20 years supporting CPGs and improving bottom lines on factory floors, I hung up my steel toes to transform the way everyone from the C-suite to the street thinks about the impact their actions have on people, because it will drive change and it will reduce inequities. We are a team of passionate experts in supply chain, data science, analytics, ESG, fintech, and scaling social enterprise, making us the right team to take us to a strategic exit. We are going to use the size, scale, and influence of large companies to transform the impacts on people and communities. We have started to move the mountain, and with the 25K today, we have a plan to expand reach, increase our data set to the Russell 3000, and scale the Brightstar ecosystem to make the intangible undeniable. Thanks so much and look forward to questions.
Good job. Thank you. All right, Jim, can you kick us off?
Sure. Great pitch, Jill. How are you acquiring customers right now? And you mentioned your beachhead market. What does an ideal customer look like to you?
So our ideal customer begins with a corporate, with a large supply chain, generally consumer-facing brands. And inside that organization will generally be a chief operating officer or managing director level. And from there, then we start to work in an opt-out fashion with the suppliers. And then they're required with the influence of their customer to sign up for our platform on an ongoing 3-year basis.
Savannah.
Great. Yeah, thank you so much. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about the approach and kind of maybe another example of some of the data that you're aggregating and how you're going about it. I think that the wage data is kind of pretty straightforward, but maybe another example would be.
Yeah, so in the idea of impact accounting, we're taking wage data, diversity data, seniority data, and then we are looking at it juxtaposed to labor and employment metrics. So we're asking the question of what percentage of an organization or a supply chain, at what demographic and what ethnicity, and or gender, what number of those people are earning under a living wage? And then we assign a dollar value to the negative or positive impact that paying wages that help people make basic needs actually impacts the community and impacts the business as well.
Hey, thanks, Jill. That was a great presentation. I have maybe a two-part if there's time, but let's start with the first one. A lot of data that you just mentioned. How is that refreshed and how frequently are you refreshing that information?
Yeah, so right now we've got the Russell 1000 on demand and we can refresh monthly. For some of our customers on an audit basis, we're actually delivering an annual for sustainability reporting and supplier scorecarding, but monthly, and then we can pull data on demand through the platform if we wish to add additional companies or start to transform more data. So like I mentioned, we wanted, like our next step is moving from Russell 1000 to Russell 3000. That should take, in terms of refreshing and adding that through, is just like a few days of work, and then we can refresh monthly from there.
What was the other part of your question?
I know.
Oh, it was separate if there was time. Yeah, like how long do you predict the sales cycle to be? Obviously, you have one customer on board, but you're talking about like managing directors, and it takes a long time for this.
Yeah.
What does that look like for you?
It's a good question. So we, our first one was about 16 months. Our second one was about 6 months. And then right now we've got a 1.2 million weighted pipeline still for 2024, and beyond the million that we've got in ARR. It's starting to shrink every time we touch point. We're relentless about trying to shrink the sales cycle. We understand that I've done enterprise for 20 plus years. So once you unlock it, it's beautiful.
We have 30 seconds left, so we could have a quick question or closing.
I can ask a quick question. The answer might be longer, but I'm curious kind of how you see the climate around ESG at the moment and kind of how that impacts
how that's impacting us. Yeah, I mean, really. So, right, I want to change the world with data
10
and
seconds.
Start to close some of these gaps. CSDDD, the SEC, and ISSB are not going away, and those are regulatory, which will drive the change, regardless
Perfect.
of how we all.
Right in time. Thanks. Great job. Thank you all for the questions. All right, and next we're going to invite Sherrhonda Burt with Hyre AI to come on.
Okay, hi everybody.
Hello. I can see you, but not your screen yet. All right, looks good.
Okay. Alrighty. Okay, I'm ready. Okay, so imagine you're a recruiter at a medium-sized company hiring for a project manager role, and you get 500 applications. Your applicant tracking system filters 75%, leaving you with 125 remaining profiles. And 124 of those applications all look and sound the same. Meanwhile, you have 8 other roles to recruit for. So how do you find the one right person in a sea of sameness? Today, the biggest issues facing recruiters are application volume and sameness. So enter Hyre AI, an AI-powered recruiting platform. We help recruiters at SMBs navigate application volume and sameness with our ideal candidate profile and machine learning software. We bring recruiters and talent together, enabling them to hire faster and better. And so you go on Hyre AI, complete your ideal candidate profile, and the job seekers complete their own ideal candidate or ideal job profile. And we match you with applicants based on your results, making it easier for you to identify the right candidate. And so we serve SMBs in the professional services, IT and software, and financial service industries. So there is a market for this. And there are many competitors in this space, but our strategic edge centers around three things: improved employer branding through our two-sided platform, machine learning capabilities, and our ideal profile matching solution. We have a uniquely focused solution. Our users come in and choose a pricing package. They can pay monthly or annually with a discount. And we acquire them using a grassroots strategy where we attend events and conduct cold outreach. And as we establish critical mass and generate content, we will work towards leveraging our network effects and virality in a product-led growth model. And so while the recruiting market is crowded, we've developed some interest in our product. Through partnering with companies to pilot our platform and building a growing waitlist of job seekers and recruiters, we've achieved some exciting milestones. And behind Hyre AI and these accomplishments are some amazing people. Today, we are a team of one, but I am actively seeking a technical co-founder. I bring 10 years experience in operations, most recently as a SaaS consultant for West Monroe and 4 years as a former startup founder. I have an MBA and I partner with incredible industry experts in recruiting, compliance, and AI. Hyre AI is built for recruiters with recruiters. And so winning $25,000 will really help us survive and move solidly into seed stage. The funds will primarily go towards tech development and marketing. Our goal is to acquire 3 to 5 paying users with this money. Hyre AI's one unique insight is that most recruiting platforms are full of information about candidates, but are missing the nuances about them. This missing insight has created a major problem for recruiters and candidates alike, which Hyre AI can solve, leading to a significant opportunity for us. Again, we are Hyre AI. We bring recruiters and talent together by uncovering applicant nuances at scale. Thank you so much for your time and for the opportunity to introduce Hyre AI, the future of work, to you today.
Great job, thank you. Savannah, can you kick us off with questions?
Sure, happy to. Thank you so much. It's a topic I'm interested in, and I'd be curious how you think about AI in recruiting and I guess either alleviating or reinforcing bias.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a big deal when it comes to either encouraging or alleviating bias. I think in the case of Hyre AI, we've essentially anonymized all of our job seeker profiles by substituting profile pictures for avatars to really help recruiters really understand and get at the nuances and the qualities that that particular individual can bring to that particular role to kind of help mitigate that.
Justin.
I was going to have a similar question. So I'll build off with something separate and then maybe go from there. Great presentation. What model are you currently building on right now for AI?
Yeah, so currently what I'm building myself as an MVP, I don't have an engineering background, but what I am doing is leveraging matching algorithms for that will essentially match the ideal candidate profiles with the ideal job profile. So that way we can do a one-to-one and kind of rank it that way for our MVP.
Okay.
Great presentation. Or I guess, why have you chosen this to be the problem that you devoted your life to?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the question, Jem. I personally experienced job loss during COVID, as with many other people. And while searching for a job, I realized that, searching for a job is really challenging. But I also understood and realized that the reverse happens for recruiters. Recruiters deal with volume and really trying to find that right person, whereas job seekers are trying to apply to as many as possible. So they are the opposite of the problem. And so I figured that I wanted to commit to solving the problem, and I knew that I could solve the problem. And so that's why I created Hyre AI.
We have more time. Are there any more questions?
I was going to ask, I know kind of team building is top of mind for you. How do you think about both attracting talent, and you mentioned the technical co-founder, but kind of your core team needs?
Yes, absolutely. So my vision for Hyre AI is around community and really touching on everyone's experience when it comes to recruiting or job searching. And I find that when I have conversations with many people, there are commonalities when it comes to that. And so embracing those commonalities and finding a way to build community and solve this problem is what I'm ultimately looking for.
Any final thoughts, Sherrhonda?
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I really appreciate this. And thank you, Savannah, Justin, and Jim, for your time.
Well, great job, and great job to all of the founders. And now we're going to say goodbye to the judges while they go and decide who's going to win $25,000. So good luck, everyone. And judges, thanks so much for your help in that. So while they are deliberating, I am very excited to invite a friend and founder to the stage. We have Jasmine Shells joining us. She's the co-founder and CEO of 5 to 9, an event management and evaluation software for program leaders at companies. A few of 5 to 9's customers include Harry's, Amplitude, Splunk, Nextdoor, and among many. And Jasmine was named Forbes 30 Under 30 for enterprise technology, a Google for Startups recipient, and a U.S. Department of State Fellow for teaching entrepreneurship in emerging markets. She graduated from the University of Notre Dame and received her MBA from the University of Chicago Booth School, where she was named an entrepreneurial scholar. And she currently serves on the board of Mercy Home for Boys and Girls and on the advisory committee for B33 Chicago and All Race Chicago. She teaches entrepreneurship to companies, universities, and nonprofits globally, and previously served on Notre Dame's Black Alumni Board. She's been featured in TechCrunch, Vice, Forbes, Business Insider, TEDx, Black Enterprise, Yahoo Finance, and MarketWatch. So Jasmine, it's great to see you again. Thanks for being here.
Great to see you, and thank you for the intro. I just need to take you with me everywhere. That was great.
Great. I will bring a microphone and just scream it from the rooftops. No, it's an amazing, we work together on the steering committee for All Race, and so we've gotten to know each other pretty well over the last few years. But for people who don't know you, can you talk a little bit about the inspiration behind 5 to 9 and why you started it?
For sure. I think talking about the inspiration is one of my favorite things, because a lot of times, we talk about what is that founder market fit. And for me, 5 to 9, we've created like an event management software for corporations, and I worked at Ernst & Young. So I was in corporate America. I always joke that corporate America is my ex. We parted ways amicably long time ago, but still have a lot of love for the start that I had at EY working in consulting. But what I loved more was working at EY. Also gave me the idea for my business. So when people talk about our founders made or they created, I definitely think working somewhere else was awesome for me, because I had the opportunity to lead our volunteering initiatives for Ernst & Young Chicago, in addition to our Black professional network. And in doing that, I saw how manual it was and how many hours it took me to use so many different tools just to accomplish the goal of running one event, tracking attendance for one event, getting the analytics and the sentiment, the feedback for one event, and ultimately creating a report to tell everyone how it went. It was a lot of work. So essentially, I was like, oh, I think there could be a better way. And that's kind of what set me down this path.
That is amazing. And so you saying that actually triggered a little bit of tangential thoughts for me. A lot of times, especially women team members volunteer to lead programs and initiatives like that. And I'm curious if you're seeing a lot of this kind of non-promotable work falling on, like, is this a burden that you're solving primarily for a certain audience or subset within employees? Because, of course, as an employee, and I did work at a bigger company too at one point, you want to be supportive of your peers who identify with some of the things that you identify, whether it's young employees or, Latinos or whatever it is. But I'm curious how like that kind of creates additional work for team members and how managers and leaders might not realize the kind of, I don't know, unpaid burden that falls on them.
Yeah, so I love that question because when you look at event programs holistically within corporations, right, you have everything from learning and development to volunteerism to your diversity initiative programs to things that maybe you're doing more externally for the company. The area where we do see that unpaid labor or where there's the largest gap is for employee resource groups in particular. And those are groups that, are, created and typically managed by, people of color, people who are underrepresented, usually within corporate America or within tech in general. So that is one thing, when we first launched our product primarily was aimed at employee resource groups because it was about how can we automate some of this work? How can we take some of this time? And we came to learn that employee resource group members in particular for that use case were spending 20 to 40 hours outside of their full-time jobs doing this because within ERGs, it is a volunteer thing. So that was our goal, was to really come in and not only make it easier for them, but what I'm really passionate about even more so is giving them the metrics and the data. So when they go to their performance review, they can say, hey, managers, like this is not only how much time I dedicated toward this, but the impact of it, which the impact really lies in how they're helping employees feel more engaged and even helping to retain some of those underserved employees as well.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like what gets measured gets funded a lot of the times inside of bigger companies. And so it seems like a natural fit. And also it seems like a recruitment tool too, if you can kind of demonstrate the type of employees that are more likely to engage in this and then stay and bring value to the organization. So I'm curious if you've been able to kind of unlock a pathway through recruiting dollars or is it just L&D budgets? Like where do people open up their kind of balance sheet for this investment?
Yeah, so for us, it's within the employee engagement budget, so it sits within HR in particular. I do think that there is a way in which you can tap into like a recruitment side of things. But we've been really focused on the people HR aspect, as employee engagement is one of the most unmeasured areas. So kind of one of our visions is what Salesforce, did for sales or what we're kind of seeing that even different marketing tools have done to bring ROI to marketing. Our goal was to really bring the ROI to the employee engagement space, specifically around these areas. Since there hasn't been a tool and it's been manual, we understand that that's why there is no data here. Over 90% of companies don't have data on how their employee programs are retaining their talent. So that's why we're really focused in the employee engagement space.
Makes sense. And I would imagine too, it brings visibility to opportunities that employees, especially new employees, might not even know exists. Is there an internal marketing, especially for like giant companies, is there an internal marketing component to this?
For sure, yeah. I think that's what's been really interesting for us is, how internal comms and marketing, how they pair with employee engagement to actually launch these initiatives. Because one of the biggest things that a lot of our customers say is, hey, we need help actually reaching our audiences, right? So just as you would have an external event platform, right, that is like targeted towards reaching your external audiences, this is the same thing for corporations. They're trying to figure out how, for their L&D programs, if they need to get more managers involved, for their D&I programs, they need to get more of upper management involved, right? Or even if you're trying to get your young talent, maybe who's new to the organization involved, right? Like what audience are you trying to serve and why? So that's something that we've found to be super compelling and interesting during our time building out 5 to 9.
That makes a ton of sense. I know I have all these questions I'm supposed to be asking you, but I'm curious about, so this can, work in any organization, I'm assuming of like decent size, but what is the Chicago business community doing to support you, or how can we support you better? Because, obviously a more connected and retained workforce here, the better our economic prosperity.
Yeah, I think the big thing that we're really finding is just trying to learn more about people's RTO, return to office strategies. So really connecting with heads of people to understand how they're thinking about it, because that really influences our product direction. For instance, when we first launched 5 to 9 5 years ago, it was primarily in-person events, and then it switched completely to remote. And now what we're seeing across our customers is this hybrid workforce, right? Right now, according to that, only about 7% of companies are only in person in office every day. So the majority are kind of existing within some hybrid workforce. So just understanding more of the strategy of RTO and then also how companies are now leaning into engaging their talent. So that would be great. Any data you have there, would love.
I don't have a lot of data here, but hopefully we can make some introductions. Are you seeing any trends for people engaging in virtual versus in person and the impact it's having on retention that you can share?
Yeah, so something that we're starting to see, there's kind of like two modes. There's some companies who are primarily just remote first and they're continuing to engage their talent virtually. And for the companies that are like hybrid, they're starting to move to more of an in-person gathering and initiative strategy. They're starting to see that employees want to connect in person and sometimes virtual, they've gotten a little burnt out by it. So it's been kind of two different modes, either remote companies who are remote first and people go there specifically because they don't want to come into the office. And then you have these other companies that are hybrid and employees are really leaning into the in-person initiative. So that's been, I guess, refreshing and nice to see that people are seeking to connect again. They're missing that in-person connection and touch. And I'm starting to see a lot more dollars go towards that.
Yeah, I would imagine that's going to continue to be the case. And I sure hope so, because we have a lot of real estate that needs to be filled. I'm curious, like, do some of your customers come to you and ask like, kind of how this might affect what they plan in the future? Like, do they ask for trends across other organizations, or like, how do you kind of participate in the information sharing of what's going to work and what's the highest impact or highest return on investment from an engagement perspective?
Yeah, something that we had kind of dug into a little bit. I did a lot of customer discovery work around this, just as I was seeing if it was something Five9 could help with. Um, a lot of companies well, there were two things. One, they were decreasing their real estate profile. So they were figuring out portfolio. They were figuring out how they could sell it off, or they were selling it off. And then the second thing was if they couldn't sell it off, they were thinking about, well, how can we potentially monetize it? So they were monetizing it by bringing in other people, like startups to come work out of the space. They were monetizing it by hosting events out of the space and just wanting to have community more generally. And then a lot of CEOs at companies, what I started to find, just said, hey, our employees need to come into the office because we need to use real estate. So that's kind of what we were seeing. In terms of information sharing, with our customers, I talk a lot about these things because typically management is very concerned and worried about it. So I'm just like, hey, these are some things that work for some of our other customers or what we're seeing in the market on how you can make kind of like the best bang on your buck for your real estate. Or if you know that you won't be able to get rid of some of your real estate within the next 5 to 10 years, hey, how do you think about engaging your employees in it?
That makes a ton of sense. Can you talk to us a little bit about like just your journey as a founder? So, has it been hard to raise? Has it been kind of easy? Give us the tea.
Listen, there's nothing easy about this journey. I think it's a special type of person who decides to go on this path. And, funding for us was definitely, I think everyone has to figure out their own funding path. For Five9, we started off in Chicago, we left, we went to New York for a period of time. We really wanted to build in Chicago, so we came back. But that was what we had to do to kind of get our start. So that's why I'm always open to interested in talking about funding strategies, definitely for, women and people of color, right? Because you have to really play where you'll get the most success. So I think that was like a thing for us that we had to figure out early on was, hey, we might have to leave and come back. So that was definitely a journey, something I didn't expect being from the Midwest. I'm from Ohio, so that was the furthest I ever was away from my family when I moved to New York. But I'm really glad that I did it because it gave us the legs to actually see if Five9 had a chance.
Yeah, well, we really are happy that you came back because it's so critical that we build here. I think the judges are so close to coming back, but before they do, I'm curious if there's you're seeing any kind of like generational data, like so a lot of people are saying that this kind of generation that came in during COVID is disengaged and doesn't really understand the value of being in person. Are you seeing anything that either validates that or kind of counteracts that point of view? And how are kind of younger employees participating or not?
Right, there's kind of two strategies that I see companies kind of implementing. One is they're actually, there's been a lot of layoffs within the tech industry. Some organizations are laying off some of their talent and in their rehiring or hiring strategy, they're hiring people around hubs. So where people actually have to go into the office. So whereas, hey, before remote, you can be wherever. Now it's like, okay, if we're going to use a head count, we're actually going to use a head count towards someone who's close to our headquarters or, close to where people have to get together and meet. So you can continue to build that culture and that engagement. That's one. The second thing is, we've seen that a lot of the younger kind of employees or employees who are graduating from college, they're desiring that connection, right? They're desiring to have these things. They want community. So some of them are actually looking for companies that do meet in person, right? So that has been something that's super interesting, is because they're coming out of, undergrad, and they're like, hey, where's my community at? So those are like the kind of main trends that I'm seeing right now is companies are either rehiring in their hubs, or younger employees are going where they feel like they can find community.
That is great, and we can't wait for them to work together with us at Summertime Shy this summer, which is the kickoff that we're doing as part of Tech Chicago, and getting people to work together either in their existing office buildings or in different areas around the city. So there's more to come on that from P33. But Jasmine, thank you so much for spending time with us today. Congrats on all the traction that you've had to date and being one of the leaders in our city in terms of just like rising stars. So it sounds like the judges are ready to announce the winner. So judges, I'll bring everyone back on camera if we could. And then judges, if you could start with who the runner-up is today. And just as a reminder to the founders, runner-up means that you get a chance to compete for the $100,000 prize at the very end of this year in the TechRise finale. So it's an important distinction for sure. All right, who's announcing today?
That will be me. So first off, want to say just a big thank you to all of the founders. You all did an incredible job. We were impressed, and so it was a very fun conversation. But for the runner-up for today, we went with Discreetly. So congrats to Vinay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we were really impressed with your presentation and your thoughtfulness. And it's a hard but really important problem that you're tackling. And so yeah, we just wish you the best of luck.
All right, now drumroll, who's the winner of $25,000 today?
Drumroll. So the winner for today is Lunum and Jill. Yay! Yeah, Jill, I'd say in particular, we were very impressed with your background and kind of the way you kind of positioned the problem and yeah, and the traction that you've already seen. So yeah, we're very excited for you and for your journey and look forward to seeing how it all pans out. So thank you.
Thank you so much to all of you and to all the founders. You guys are all amazing.
Yes, thank you, founders. You were great. And as a reminder, this is not a one and done experience, so we can support you in so many ways after this one TechRise, but also you are welcome back on the TechRise stage. So we hope to see you back and winning just like Jill did today. Jill, congratulations. And then everyone else, judges, thank you so much. Verizon, as always. Stephen, thank you for being here, and also Eric from the MBDA for joining us today. So everyone have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you all again soon.